And Vasily Grossman had this terrific dictum in the middle of Life and Fate where he says, tell me what you accuse the Jews of, I'll tell you what you're guilty of. This is unbelievably relevant again and again and again. You know, the Iranian revolutionary government says that the Jewish state is a colonialist enterprise. The Iranian revolutionary government is colonizing the Middle East since 1979.
There's nothing colonist about Islam.
Oh, no. I mean,
it was only the fastest growing empire in the history of the world.
And as you know, Muhammad, when he spread Islam, only did through by persuasion and kindness.
Right, and that still obtains today. We'll get back to that.
But every time this I mulled on this subject in recent years, the Grossman's rule absolutely applied. People using the Jewish state, just as they have the Jewish people throughout history, as a projection mechanism for their own failings. And the place where I realized this became very relevant to the American university and the Western universities was, what were the things the students were accusing the Jewish state of? Genocide, ethnic cleansing, white supremacy. So you would laugh at that one. They've never been to Israel.
That's a good one.
But anyway, so ethnic cleansing, genocide, white supremacy, the various sins that they will always lob at Israel, and they were throwing this at Israel from October the 7th, as they had in the years before, but they really got a push on it after that. And I was thinking throughout this period, as I saw the protests in the West, I thought, why are these terms so familiar? The conclusion I came to was, and it actually was a follow-on from my previous book, The War on the West, where I talked about what was being taught to a generation. And as you know, one of the things I said in that book was, we are teaching young people born in the 21st century in America and the rest of the West that they are guilty by dint of being born here. You are guilty of colonialism because some of your ancestors may have engaged in colonialism. You're guilty of genocide. You carry the guilt of genocide because 300 years ago, people who may not be ancestors of yours but looked like you did this thing, and so on and so on. And I said in The War on the West that this was a very, very dangerous thing because it's a mechanism of guilt with no alleviation mechanism for forgiveness. There's no way to alleviate the guilt. You're just being told you're guilty and you're stuck with it.
Now you can see the protests as a manifestation of that attempt to expiate